So today's questions, Xavier, you're going to be looking at permitted development. And is permitted development a good thing, I suppose, generally? And then also specifically, there's certainly investors that I speak to that are really hot on doing commercial to residential permitted development, or maybe considering retail to residential. What's your thoughts on permitted development?
Yeah, well, I think from my experience, I try and avoid development like the plague, right?
Sure.
The whole planning process is...
it's not straightforward.
No, it's certainly not straightforward. And I think central government get massively frustrated. I mean, particularly in housing, where there's a massive shortage in housing. And it's very difficult to get the consents and get the programme. It takes forever. So I thought it was a bit of a genius stroke, actually, because overnight they said you can convert office buildings into residential without the need to get a planning consent. And there was all these sort of tertiary office buildings and around the country in reasonable locations, but you know the cost of maintaining them, and you're very difficult to find tenants for them. They're half occupied. They gave them a whole new lease of life. Not all the buildings were suitable for it, but a lot were. I think there was an argument to say they should have restricted central London from it, because most probably didn't need to have office buildings converted into residential in central London. And those ones that did, that obviously became very high priced.
And possibly a clear argument to say there is demand for offices in central London, you would have thought, or areas of that ilk.
Yeah, and also, you know, there's a huge benefit to the community in getting planning consent for residential in central London, because they're required to make an affordable housing element and all the rest of it. So one of the controversial issues with permitted development was they didn't really have to do that. You know, they could just get on with it. And so out of town, that would have been generally affordable housing, but in central London, they didn't have to jump. And so anyway, that's a political aspect which I think it was a missed opportunity. I suppose. I think so. But anyway, but overall, I think it's been a tremendous success. I mean, I think in the last budget they talked about the potential for converting retail into this under this permitted development land. And that would be very interesting for some of these shopping centres which are, you know, really struggling to find a place in the market, and where a lot of the retail's moved out of town, or as we said before, online. So large developments. So the other day I was in High Wycombe, where there's a shopping centre which has been eclipsed by another shopping centre in town, and other developments out of town, and that's all going to be converted into residential.
Yeah, and you can, I guess, probably just see when you're on the ground, it's just maybe doesn't have the same feel as some of the newer, swankier.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But it won't. It'd be more development than converting. For obvious reasons. But nevertheless, there's that brings life back into the town centre. You know, you're looking at things positively. That's it could be really good for a lot of places.
Fantastic. Anything you see should, or maybe a missed opportunity that, from a permitted development perspective, that they should be considering or should be looking at? Any angles that you see as?
No, I think generally speaking, I think it's a really good idea, because it short circuits the planning regime. Now, a lot of people most probably wouldn't want that, but I think, and also it tends to be brown sites rather than brownfield sites rather than greenfield sites. So I think it's positive. It should be positive. The time it takes to get planning consent and the costs associated with it are huge, and they've got all out of whack, really. And local authorities, are under pressure themselves. Their departments have shrunk, and they're finding it terribly difficult. Some of these places, it's impossible to get to meet the local planning officer to even talk about the development. So I think by using this cleverly, they might have learned some lessons from the early times they did it. It could be very effective.
Worth considering over the future, and hopefully there's a nice middle ground that works for.
And there's still a massive shortage in residential generally. Of course, institutions are being drawn to it with they call it PRS and a number of them are really, companies like Legal and General have got, serious plans to invest in residential. And these are short circuit ways of being able to achieve it.
Interesting times ahead.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.